So in 1991, Ozzy Osbourne and Zakk Wylde wrote a song called Hellraiser,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was covered by Ozzy's best friend, Lemmy Kilmister. And all I could think about was that it had to have been, like, the first time I heard that song, I'm like, this has to be 100% about you, my friend. 4-year-old Anthony or Tom out there. Raising hell!
Oh, God.
Welcome to They Live for Horror podcast. I am your host, Jared. And with me today, my longtime acquaintance. Wouldn't call him a buddy or a friend, though. We're not that close. Don't call him for dinner. We call him
Tom.
Today we talk about the 1987 horror classic, Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Stars Doug Bradley, Andrew Robinson, and Claire Higgins.
And Ashley Lawrence.
Directed by Clive Barker and written by Clive Barker with a budget of $1 million and a box office of $14 million. It ends up being an even bigger cult hit after the initial theater run, so it's made its money way past that $14 million. But again, even at $1 million with a $14 million return, it has to be one of the highest budget movies we've done.
Yeah.
Or highest grossing movies we've done. This movie, of course, is based off the novella called The Hellbound Heart.
Yeah.
After the novella that, like I said, Clive Barker wrote. That is the fun little trivia fact that Tom actually found and tweeted out on our Twitter account. The studio decided that the title sounded too much like a romance and asked Clive Barker to change it. And
Yeah.
Barker offered Sadomasochists from Beyond the Grave, which was rejected for the overtly sexual content. He ultimately opened the floor to the production team to offer up their own suggestions, prompting a 60-year-old female crew member who was clearly horned up that day and having a reminiscing moment called What a Woman Will Do for a Good Fuck. And let me tell you something. That is what this movie is 100% about.
It is.
As much as we'd like to go past this and talk about the deep tortures of sadomasochism and the Clive Barker's own take on the sadomasochists genre, as he was himself someone who was into that sort of thing, and a very out-of-the-closet individual who was open about his past of sadomasochism, this movie is 100% about a horned-up woman.
Yeah.
Who will literally murder to get back the best lay of her life. And ladies,
Yes.
if you're listening to this, I guarantee you're going, I get it. So, if you don't know what this movie's about, we do suggest you go and watch the fucking movie because it's a great movie, right?
Definitely.
Came out in 1987, so the year I was born. I was 6 months old when this movie came out. Watched it too. First day I was born, I'm like, let's put on Hellraiser, mama. That's not true.
I bet you did.
Oh, were you even born? You're a little younger than me. Okay, no, you're a little older than me. That's right.
Yeah.
So little 1-year-old Tom just sitting in front of the TV watching this at home. Like, I don't know. He did one thing that I found interesting before we really get into our categories is that none of the characters in this movie, none of the Cenobites have a name. Pinhead comes later. People just called him Pinhead.
Yeah.
After the fact. As a matter of fact,
Cenobite.
yeah, he was just lead Cenobite. As a matter of fact, Clive Barker hates when you call him Pinhead. He wants the character to be referred to as priest.
Yeah.
Why? Not sure. The other trivia fact that I really wanted to hit home here was the fact that the only reason Pinhead had as many words in this movie as he did, and the female Cenobite as well, was because the lines are actually supposed to be spread across all the Cenobites, except the makeup was too difficult for the other two actors to talk. So the only ones who talk are ones who had makeup that made it easy for them to talk. So that's how Bradley becomes this famous Pinhead character, and how he becomes so famous was simply because the makeup was too hard to talk in. As I said, the Doug Bradley ends up being Pinhead, I believe, in the rest of all the Hellraiser movies. So he actually makes a huge living off of this. But it was funny, I was reading, no, actually this is from a documentary that I saw, where he talked about how they did a rap party. And at the rap party, nobody talked to him. Nobody talked to him because, and after the fact, he's like, I thought I got along famously with everyone in the crew, cast and crew, but It turns out they had never seen him outside of his Pinhead character makeup, so they had no idea who he was.
Oh my god.
It wasn't until after the party that he was like, what did I do wrong? And everyone's like, we didn't realize it was you. So this movie did go through a series of changes. The MPAA had serious issues with it, as you can imagine. They had a problem with the intensity of tone. Clive Barker had to make several cuts of the film that he would later say was a mistake. He should have just put it out there as the movie, he said. And they cut out a ton of S&M spanking, fingers entering flesh, additional thrusts during the sex scene. Apparently the sex scene was actually much longer, which I'm glad they cut. I'm really glad. I didn't need to see that.
Yeah.
And he called...
It got its point across.
Yeah. Clive Barker said it watered down the product and felt that it wasn't as good a movie as it could have been. And I'm just going to say, you know what? Sometimes less is more.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
This movie, for me, isn't as good as the sequel. Have you seen Hellraiser 2?
No.
Hellraiser 2 is better, man. It focuses more on the Cenobites. This is a very good introduction, though, to the series. Clive Barker would eventually get so disingenuous with the process, though, that he abandons Hellraiser altogether until he can get his movie rights back, the rights back to it. And if you ever look at the number of sequels Hellraiser has, and you're like, God, why do they have so many sequels that aren't very good? It's because the studio gets to keep the rights to it as long as they keep optioning it for movies.
Oh, okay.
But eventually now, Clive Barker has gotten it back, and he's going to be making a TV series off of it because they finally gave up on it. They finally gave the rights back to Clive Barker, who is a vocal proponent or an opponent of the number of movies made post Hellraiser 1 and 2. Hates them all.
Yeah.
Hates what they did to him, so much so that he refuses to be part of any documentary that involves Hellraiser. Just will not talk about it in any form that involves the studio.
I see.
He'll talk about it in interviews, but not if it involves the studio being involved. He hates the studio that much. Doug Bradley, like I said, who played Hellraiser, or Pinhead, excuse me, was offered the choice of roles between one of the mattress movers and the lead Cenobite. So imagine that. You're offered Pinhead or a furniture mover, and he decides to go with Pinhead. But he said it was really close because he didn't want to be in all that prosthetic because he was such a new actor. He didn't want to be overshadowed, which plays to the part that he shows up at a party and no one even recognizes him.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything before we jump into the categories, my man?
Not really. No.
All right. So, what the fuck moment for you? I'm going to go with when that first drop of blood hits and you actually start to see his body reform.
Yeah.
And that slow transformation, beautifully done. I think it's that for me.
Mine is like when Frank unlocks the box in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, and you really don't know what's going on.
That's a good point. Yeah, they off with a shot with that one. There's some amazing special effects in this movie, like when you see his lips and they're trying to talk, but they're not attached to anything.
Yeah.
And then you see like his eye off to one side, and you see one of the Cenobites picking it up and looking at his eye, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening in this movie?
Yeah.
You're right. There's a lot of what the fuck moments for me. The other one would be that first moment when you actually hear Frank talk when he's in the prosthetic and he's just muscle. And you see, still see his heart beating, but he's talking like this, and you have to bring me more blood.
Yeah.
So good. The whole movie is outstanding, but those moments with Frank are just beautiful. Yeah. The next thing I was going to point out is the Rotten Tomatoes score for this. Again, with these older movies, it's really tough because it's like, are all of these positive reviews now after the fact? Because I would be willing to bet this movie did not score very high on with critics early on. It just doesn't seem like something that something that Siskel or Ebert would have enjoyed.
Yeah.
Their Rotten Tomatoes score comes in at 73%, 72% with audiences. So 50,000 audience scores puts it at 72%. That's a damn good score for that many people rating it. Only 48 critic scores though, so 73%. I wonder how many of those, as I said, are post 1987.
Yeah.
You know, but it's an interesting movie. It's an interesting take on the genre. It's not even a slasher. This is one of those rare ones where I don't know what category to put it in. It's almost a sci-fi movie. Are these aliens? Are they demons? What the fuck are they?
I called it a supernatural gothic slasher. Because she does...
You're right. It does have slasher implications. Or elements to it. You're right.
Yeah.
Did this movie actually scare you? The first time I saw it, it did. I was 12 when I saw it for the first time. It scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Oh, I bet it would have.
It really, because like I said, my sister would rent horror movies, and I was not a horror fan. But we only had 2 TVs in my house, so if someone was on the other one, it was Friday night. You know, your parents go out Friday night movie night for kids. Back in the day.
True.
Not that anybody now would even understand what that means. Like, what? You can't just like put your TV on and have 40,000 movies to choose from? No, we went down to the local movie store and you picked. By the way, this is old man corner.
Oh.
You know, you'd go down to that. You know, you'd go down to the movie store and pick one out. And sometimes she'd pick these horror movies. Sometimes I'd get to pick one, and I would always torture them by picking like the 1992 Royal Rumble.
There you go.
You know, but she picked this one out, and it scared the shit out of me. How about you? Were you scared by this movie? I don't think you saw this till you were an adult, though.
No, it didn't scare me.
That's a lie, though. I watched it with you one time, and there was a jump scare for you. So we got to count that. We got to count that. You peed your pants actually right here on my couch.
I did not pee.
It was unrelated to that. Who stole the show for you? It's tough to say. I mean, probably have to go with Bradley as Pinhead.
Oh, I said Andrew Robinson. He's Larry and Frank.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work. You know, I feel like he's
such a corny dad for half the movie. And then he's in this new skin, but he's...
Yeah, you're right. You know,
the transformation in his acting is crazy.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's a really good point. I thought he did a really good job there. For me, steal the show means like it's someone off to the side who does so well you have to recognize their performance. But yeah, you're right. By him switching it like that from lovable loser Larry to Frank, it's a really good job. Good point. It's a good pull there, my friend. Best kill. She beats that first dude to death with a hammer. Right? She straight murks a dude who's just there to have sex after lunchtime drinks with this chick he just met. Thinks he's finally getting laid, and then he gets beat to death with a hammer.
I'd go with Julia's death, because you see how much Frank just didn't
Ooh, that was a good one. You're right. Yeah, Frank didn't give a fuck.
You could see he wanted... he was wanting Kirsty the whole time.
Like he just wanted to get down, you know?
True.
He just wanted to get down, and I think he was tired of her.
Yeah.
What role would you have Sig Haig play?
The derelict.
Which one?
The guy that comes in eating the bugs, and he comes back for the box at the very end.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I would have probably went with any of the people that she beats to death with a hammer. Yeah. Like, I could see Sid playing that dirtbag role of like, well, let's have some sex, baby, you know? Yeah. Here we are at my fucking lunch break. Sid could get down. I could see that happening for sure.
Yeah.
Could you remake this? Absolutely, and I think they are.
That would be amazing if that's true.
Yeah, I believe they are. I believe Clive Barker has the rights to it and wants to make it into a TV show over a movie. I did want to point out before we continue on, before we get back into the categories, that many people who watch the movie, if you watch how bad the special effects at the end of the movie are, it's because Clive Barker said they ran out of money. Oh. They had no money left. So it was just him and, quote, a Greek guy that animated those scenes by hand over a single weekend. And Barker also commented that he thinks the special effects turned out awesome considering the amount of alcohol the two of them consumed to complete the project for free.
What happens to the Butterball Cenobite?
I don't know.
They leave that open. Does that get answered in the second one?
I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. But he comes back, I believe. I don't think you can kill a Cenobite.
True.
I don't think it's possible. Are they aliens or demons?
They just get sent back into the box or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear they live in an alternate dimension.
Dude, are they genies?
What?
Are they genies?
Holy shit. No, because they're not granting any wishes.
That's true.
I mean, if we look at the true nature of genies, though, in the old tales, it was they would always take your wish and morph it and make it corrupted and bad for you.
True.
So in a way, Frank wanted the most.
Pleasure.
And they gave him pleasure through pain. Kind of on the nose there, Clive.
'Tis a waste of good suffering.
So do they feed off of suffering? Oh my God, are they Dementors?
They are.
Oh no wait. Dementors just suck out the joy of things. They don't actually feed off of, like, pain.
My favorite scene's when they're piecing his face together at the beginning.
Yeah, that's badass. Wait, are Cenobites like Pennywise creatures who feed off of fear? No, it's pain.
True.
Wait, could the Cenobites and Pennywise
they're almost like
be of the same
slaves
creature?
of something. It's like they're stuck in this world to bring pain and pleasure.
Yeah, they're an interesting character. I like how open-ended they are. They aren't explained really in any way. They're just these creatures that feed off of your pain and pleasure and all that
Angels
stuff.
to some, demons to others.
I'm gonna say he's not an angel to anyone.
No angel to anyone.
I don't care, even if you are.
Explorers of the further regions. I'm doing that from memory. I hope that's bad.
Your impression of Finhead is the greatest impression of anything I've ever heard, because it's not close at all.
It's not.
Oh man.
I can't wait to play that back.
Claire, the actress of Claire Higgins, absolutely hates horror movies. She's never watched the whole thing.
Really?
Yep, she's never watched the whole movie. She watched the first 10 movies at the premiere, or 10 minutes, and then left. Clive Barker said he watched this movie with his mother at the premiere, and she started crying because she saw his name on the big screen, and he goes, "I'm sorry, the next 2 hours are all downhill from here for you." Or hour and however long it is.
Yeah.
There was one funny moment that I read or I saw, and it was this band called Coil. There's this, they're Clive Barker's favorite band. They're this industrial band. They did the entire soundtrack. The entire fucking score for the movie was done. And then the studio went in and went, nope, because we don't want to pay these guys rights.
Oh.
So they just used an in-house band who literally just took the bare bones of the soundtrack, the score, and just stripped out all of the heart to it and just added their own their own spin on these songs that were already written.
Oh.
So the band Coil went back and re-released that music as their own album. And
is it good?
I haven't listened to it.
Okay.
But the album is called Unnatural History 2: Smiling in the Face of Perversity.
Oh, okay.
So the concept of the cube being used as a portal to hell was based on the urban legend of the Devil's Toy Box, which concerns a six-sided cube constructed of inward-facing mirrors and all this really cool stuff. Clive Barker just got the idea from hearing that. It's kind of weird where these people's minds can go, a creative mind like that. I don't think I could ever be... I consider myself a creative person, but I can't just hear the urban legend of something called the Devil's Toy Box and come up with Hellraiser, or Hellbound.
Yeah.
It took 6 hours for Doug Bradley to get put into that makeup. Could you imagine spending 6 fucking hours every day?
No.
Having that applied. He was only on set a few days though, so it wasn't like he had to. If you think about it though, for how famous Pinhead is and the Cenobites are, they're only in this movie 10-15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
The movie is mostly, if you go into this thinking you're gonna see Pinhead, watch Hellraiser 2. Okay. That's where you're gonna see more of the Cenobites.
Okay.
They are in that one more. The first one is definitely more, like you said, it's a thrasher. Thrasher. I've been into thrash music lately.
I barely know her.
Slasher. Slasher. Sort of like how, if you think about it, Friday the 13th, the first one is all about Jason's mom killing people. True. And then the next ones are all about Jason. Sort of like how this first one's all about this lady wanting to get dicked down.
It is, man.
And she just goes around killing people, hoping to get that peen back. And the rest of
on
them.
here. Couldn't she have found another blood source? She could have found another way to put blood on in
I feel like it had to be human blood, though, right?
Yeah, she could have robbed a blood bank.
We could have had a heist movie
Like,
with
did she
blood.
just want to be a murderer?
You son of a bitch. I'm in. I feel like he's corrupting her, though. You know, like...
True.
Like,
I'm going to give you that if you give me my skin.
Yeah, maybe the blood has to be extracted through, like, murder. Like, it has to be evil. I guess it wasn't explained. Maybe you're right. This whole movie could have been, like, a heist movie. Getting into a blood bank. I feel like you could pay a homeless dude, like, $100 for, like, a pint of his blood.
Yeah, where's that derelict that's interested in the box? What is a derelict?
Like a deviant person, like not a deviant so much as like a dangerous hobo, you know?
Okay, all right.
Like Dirty Mike, you know, that would be a derelict.
All right.
And the boys. The studio planned on casting stuntmen as the Cenobites to save on production costs. Director Clive Barker, however, insisted on hiring real actors. Reasoning that even if the characters did not speak and appeared under heavy makeup, their body language would still convey a personality. You were already seeing in this first movie Clive Barker constantly hammering with the studio for things he wants. This is a guy who's so confident in himself. I believe this is really his first major motion picture, and he's already making demands and telling people to shut the fuck up, and this is what it's about. But he ends up with this watered down version, what he calls a watered down version of a movie that I adore.
Yeah. I saw like interviews with him a little bit about the movie, and he did not really take to the interview.
No, he's a weird dude. Like he seemed very difficult to work with.
Yeah.
The scene where Frank, I don't remember this, is spun around upside down, covered in blood.
Yeah.
That was just a camera test, and the very first thing shot on the film. Afterwards, they were like, "That was awesome." The problem was that the stuntman who performed it kept vomiting.
Oh, really?
And they had to try to like cut around him puking. And they were concerned for his safety. The stuntman's name is Sean Chapman, by the way, so he's one of the many actors who played Frank. All of his dialogue is dubbed. Like he read it and he's not an actor. So they Darth Vadered his ass. They replaced his voice with another actor's voice. So Nintendo did develop a video game based on the film. It was planned as one of the first to feature the ability to save, but after Nintendo actually saw the movie, they said they will not make it into a video game. So you're telling me you can't market a bunch of sadomasochistic demons who tear human beings apart into a video game for kids?
It's not that hard.
Yeah, come on, man. Like,
you got Mario taking shrooms.
You're picking nits.
I got a couple of them, man. Why, when Christy unlocks the box, is she not immediately torn apart?
Because I think she had a different...
Did she unlock it differently?
No, I think she had a different view of it. Like, like sort of like the genie thing, like you were talking about. Like, he wants the pleasure and the pain. So give it to him. He comes at it from sin, and she's coming at it from like, what is this? Mm-hmm. You know, so maybe that's different.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's not a lot explained in the mythos, so I just have to guess on that.
What happens to that bed after Frank's hand injury? Do they ever get the bed moved?
I mean, clearly, because it's later on in the movie. It plays a pivotal role later in the movie. You know?
All right. How about when Julia sees Frank resurrected corpse? How does no one at the party hear her scream?
I agree on that. There's a lot going on upstairs that people are just like, okay, I don't know, man.
Because later in the movie, he hears hardly anything, and he's all like,
he was like,
see what that is.
That scene is one of the most uncomfortable, terribly done scenes, though, of any movie that I really like.
Really?
Because it's like, if you remember, they're sitting there, they're watching boxing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, sorry about my dog howling in the background, but and she's so adamant that he doesn't go up to that room. Mm-hmm. Like, so adamant she'll actually fuck him, which is clearly not something that these two have done recently, because he's like, he drops everything to get on that ship, if you
There
know
you
what
go.
I mean.
That's
you know,
true.
That's the last
He has
lifeboat
tried a
off the
few
Titanic.
times.
You know.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's like, well, I guess this could be somebody breaking in. No, he does check the room though, but he doesn't check it that hard because she's about getting that. And then Frank fucks him up.
Yeah. Skins a rat.
That's right, he did skin a rat.
Yeah.
That's a weird scene in that movie. There's a lot of weird
Yeah.
shit going on in this movie. Imagine that, a movie about sadomasochistic demon aliens with that are forced into a cube is a strange movie. Angels to some, demons to others.
We're from the outer regions.
I could listen to your Pinhead all day. Oh, man. Excuse me. Clive Barker drew inspiration for the Cenobite designs from punk fashion, Catholicism, and, his time in S&M clubs in New York and Amsterdam. Pinhead specifically was a African fetish sculpture.
Oh.
Man, it's just this movie is so... And the funny thing is, like, people in the 80s had no idea that so much of this was taken from the gay S&M culture. It's sort of like how nobody knew that Rob Halford of Judas Priest was gay, even though he was literally walking around in their uniform. For like 3 decades, people were like, wait, when it finally came out, they're like, wait, what? It's like even Rob Halford jokes about that. Like, how did they not know?
Yeah.
Like, metalheads in the 80s were just like, no, man, he's a badass leather-wearing biker dude. Like, no. So...
Oh, my other what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
Is when you realize Larry's actually Frank.
What? Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm like trying to figure out what you mean by that. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big what the fuck moment. One difference between the novella and the movie is that Pinhead was never presented as the lead Cenobite. The female Cenobite was the leader.
The one with the cheek piercings?
Yep. Yeah, she's actually the leader, but for some reason it flips in the movie.
That's weird.
Mostly because Bradley was the only one who could really talk with this stuff with the prosthetics on. She kind of could, which is why she has speaking parts. The other two could not talk.
Really?
Yeah, the other two absolutely could not talk with that makeup on. So he had to put all those lines into... This isn't a visual medium. Stop doing that. Stop doing the tongue action of the Cenobite, man. Don't do that. I will say this. If you like Hellraiser and the special effects from Hellraiser and the mythos of Hellraiser, check out Psycho Gorman.
Okay.
It's a new movie. I told you about this, man, from Shudder, but you have to rent it off Amazon. I bought it. I love this fucking movie.
Okay.
I'm recommending it to every human being I come across who's into anything from the 1980s. It's schlocky. It's heavy special effects. It's from the guys who made The Void.
Okay.
Speaking of The Void, next
Speaking of The
episode.
Void.
Episode? Did I really just say
Episode.
episode? What am I, New Yorker? Hey, I got a nice episode for you.
Yeah.
Our next episode will be The Void. So I think we're wrapping up here with Hellraiser, right at about the 30-minute mark, as we usually do. Tom?
Haven't said fuck in a while.
You haven't. And then you did. And
What's your favorite line from the Cenobites?
It's got to be the angels to some, demons to others.
Mine is, no tears. It's a waste of good suffering.
Actually, mine would be, oh, gee, fellas, can't we all just get along? It was actually spoken by one of the Cenobites that you couldn't actually hear because there was prosthetics, but it wouldn't.
It was this guy.
Don't do that. Do not do that tongue thing. Could you imagine, like, if you got all these scary Cenobites and then it's in the background here, oh, jeez.
Or Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, I find pleasure in your pain. All right, before this just becomes me doing weird voices into a microphone, which, by the way, could be its own show, coming to the Suplex City Limits channel. Jared yells for 30 minutes straight into a microphone. No, I won't be doing that.
Thank you, Suplex City.
Of course, you can find them at Suplex City Limit on the Twitter machine. I'm at Funny Libertarian with only one N in there. In the funny.
At one OMSC.
He's not very active anyways on Twitter. So.
I just do retweets, sorry.
That's okay. And as always, Tom always says, practice safe sex, right, Tom?
No, I was going to actually say fuck without a rubber.
Proud of you.
Fuck without a rubber.